You had to constantly qualify that you belong and that you had a right to exist.
Marian Washington fought for her place in sports.
It was that tug of war. I never knew whether it was because I was a woman or because I was African American or both, you know. So that was a difficult time.
After leading her college team to the first ever national title for women, Washington became the first of 2 black women to compete for the U.S. internationally on the 1971 World Championship team.
I was thrilled, absolutely thrilled.
She was also set to be part of the first ever women's Olympic basketball competition in 1972, but it never happened.
They forgot about us, and so they overscheduled the men. So there was no room for us. When we were told that we were not going to be included in the 72 Olympics, it was devastating for me and my teammates. I mean, we had really worked hard.
She was training in Missouri at the time. An opportunity arose to hop the state line to the University of Kansas.
When you're that young, you know, when someone talks about Kansas and you're in Pennsylvania, it was like, okay, you know, that's not going to happen.
She accepted KU's head women's basketball coaching position in '73. A year later, she added the title of Women's Athletic Director. Title IX, requiring gender equity in institutions that receive federal funding, was in its infancy.
You hoped that with Title IX, it gave you some leverage to try to get some things changed.
Waiting for her was nothing.
I had to go about finding space for offices. I managed to work with the Department of Physical Education, and I purchased 2 banks of lockers. They were half lockers, and all of our women's sports rotated through using those lockers, you know. We had a physical therapist who was taping our kids, and I found a vacant office with a desktop, and that's where she placed our athletes to do the taping.
Washington's team would use the public bathroom for a halftime hub.
I think the biggest challenge for me was that as much as the men had, they were still afraid that women were going to take from them. I was just as proud of our men's program, but I felt that there was room for our women's program. I felt that our women could bring as much prestige and, you know, honor to this university as many of the men did, and I never deterred from that vision.
Slowly, Washington began winning more and more battles for women's programs.
Eventually, we had better salaries. We were able to, instead of having bag lunches, bag meals to take when we were traveling on the road, we had access to finally the training table, you know, for the women, things like that. You know, we were able to finally have a locker room.
But it wasn't without consequence.
It was tough to have to pick up the newspaper and my daughter having to read, you know, maybe some negative articles, you know. Fine, they reached this milestone, but when are they ever going to reach this one? You know, kind of thing. Always comparing us with the men who had many, many more years to get to where they are.
In 31 seasons, Washington led Kansas to 560 wins, 11 NCAA tournament appearances, 2 Sweet 16s, 7 league titles, and 6 conference tournament championships. Recently, the KU women's basketball team named its locker room for the woman who helped build it.
I don't think that I've been someone that patted myself on the back a lot. You know, I certainly took a lot of pride in the accomplishments that myself and others that were there to help support me and work with me. But I just never had time to just think about any one milestone. And now that I'm older, much older, you know, I really am comfortable with looking back, and I can appreciate, you know, at least my effort, the vision that I had for this program here.